Well, hey everyone, it's Keith Farron, your Bible coach, and I decided that I want to start doing some more videos that are when I get a question from somebody in an email or a comment, and it doesn't necessarily warrant a full length video with lots of editing, I can just pop on and answer the question. So today's question came from Lisa. Lisa sent me an email that just said, "Hey, I'm struggling with the book of Job, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. Do you have any tips for enjoying these books? Because I write a lot about enjoying the Bible." And she's like, "I just struggle to even like them at all, and therefore I don't learn a whole lot." And so I had a couple tips that I gave her that I wanted to share. One is it kind of goes back to something that I talk about a lot, which is making sure that we're watching the movie, not just looking at a scene. So I find that especially you're talking like the book of Job is over 40 chapters, and Ecclesiastes is a bunch of chapters, the Song of Solomon is a bunch of chapters. And if you're just reading a chapter a day, which is kind of how I started out trying to do the first 20 years I was a Christian, that the chapter a day method is really, really hard when you're in those difficult books, whether they're difficult like Job, difficult from a message standpoint, or even some of the things like Numbers or Chronicles, where you might go several chapters with a lot of names, lots of numbers, all that. And what I find is if you read bigger chunks, so to sit down and to read Job over the course of its 42 chapters, I think, so to read the book of Job over the course of 5 to 7 days rather than 42 days, then you're still kind of in that, you know, 20 to 30 minute range. You can walk through the book of Job, but you're going to see a lot more of the feel and the flow of it. I use that analogy of we need to watch the movie before we study the scenes. So that is one tip that when it comes to these harder passages, I've said a lot of people struggle to find God's grace and his love and his goodness in the Old Testament. And I say, there are times when I read a chapter of the Old Testament and struggle to see it, but there's never a time where I read 10 chapters of the Old Testament and I don't see the arc of God's love and his grace and his forgiveness. So that is one, is make sure that you are reading more of it, not just trying to get something out of a paragraph or a chapter. The second is one that I'm going to share my screen to show you, and that is because when it comes to some of these Old Testament books specifically, but even with New Testament books, there's a resource that's free that you've probably heard of, and it's right here on YouTube. That is on YouTube is the Bible Project overview videos that if you just type in Bible Project and then a book like Job, and you just type in Bible Project and then put a name of book of the Bible, the first thing that will come up pretty much every time, unless there's an ad, is the book summary. So to be able to then take that and watch the overview of a whole book of the Bible and just this picture of, and you see at the end, there's been this whole draw out that they're usually like this one's 11 minutes. A lot of them, like if we went to Ecclesiastes, um, then you're going to see this book summary of Ecclesiastes. And so you get to you see that, and that one's 8. So I would say that most of these book summaries are between say 8 and 12 minutes. Some of the gospels, the longer ones, will be broken into 2 videos, but those overviews, I just find that they give me something to look for when I'm reading. And so even though I've been in the Bible a long time, I will still sometimes when I go to a book of the Bible that I'm going to start reading, that I like to look at that book summary. And you can, if you're a reader, you've got a study Bible, then oftentimes some of that overview, kind of what's the outline of the book, what are some of the key themes, things to look for, who wrote it, and when was it written, what else was going on. That can give some context that then helps you understand a book. So hopefully that was helpful for Lisa and helpful for you to read more of it and go to the Bible Project and then just type in the name of the book to get that overview. All right, if you've got a question, then leave a question. You can leave it in the comments. I read the comments and just put question in all caps so that I can see that it's a question. It really stands out to me when I'm scanning those comments. You can also send it in an email to support@keithfarron.com and we'll get those as well. So may feature your question in a future Q&A video. All right, have a good one.